Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gascally Statements from Gearworks.com and the E2KG Network podcasting channel on YouTube, as well as the Rounding Off Infinity Gaming channel on YouTube, here with another episode in the Tech Talks for Beginning Streamers series. I've had a couple of requests to do this video, although it was kind of against my will, so to speak, because I didn't feel like I could really do this video well. In the way that people really need it. My studio is just not really set up for the kind of intricate level of detail that's needed to do this type of video, or it would be facilitated by having another person who could actually shoot it while I was on camera manipulating all of the components. But people have asked a couple times and they haven't stopped. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. And, if it's not great, then you can continue to ask me questions about it, and we'll just do it the best we can. So what I want to talk through today is how do you hook up the MiraBox HSV 321 USB 3.0 capture card. As I've mentioned before, this is a $99 card that is available on Amazon when it's available. It does frequently go out of stock. It is, in my opinion, so far to date, and I'm still continuing to use it and test as I always do, the best low-cost entry point for getting into doing your live streams from a PC, whether or not you use it as a secondary PC while you're gaming on another PC to live stream PC games, and definitely for you console gamers who stream but are constrained and limited by the additional glam you can put in your live streams when you are forced to stream directly from the Xbox's onboard toolkit or the PlayStation 4's onboard toolkit. So like I said, it's $99. Most other capture cards are going to get you into the 150, 160, 170 territory to start. You can definitely find them aftermarket, but this is a great initial entry point for getting in. It does stream at 1080p, 60 frames per second. And it is USB 3.0. I've covered this capture card on a couple other videos before, but let's go ahead and soup to nuts from the very ground up. Let's walk through things. What I'm going to be using is the capture card itself. I've got its nylon USB 3.0 data cable, two HDMI cables. This is the chassis for my first streaming PC, the old HP 410-030 slimline desktop. This was an old Intel fourth generation Core i7 PC that I bumped up to 16 gigabytes of RAM, which was the max that it would hold. And this is what I struggled with for my first few years of streaming. So we've got that. It's predominantly a hollowed out chassis now because I ripped the memory and the hard drive out of it, but it will serve the purpose for this demonstration and our talk through. And we're going to do the initial hookup with the Nintendo Switch dock because all we really need is the ports. Then I'm going to actually slot the Switch into the port and try and walk through the initial configuration and setup in OBS, if we can manage through that. So the way to kind of think about hooking up this capture card is it is essentially, more so than anything, a peripheral for the streaming PC or desktop. It's going to dangle off the back of the streaming PC. You can think of it as any other component, USB component that you would dangle off of a PC, an external hard drive, it's really late at night and I'm really tired, so I'm brain dumping right now. External hard drive, an external GPU, an external CD-ROM drive. It's just an interface peripheral that dangles off of your PC. And what it does is you stick it out there, and it's basically a junction box, a data concentrator. It is a thing that brings the video signal from the gaming device into this box, so that it can be sent over to the PC over a data cable. And then whether it's done on the box or with the onboard GPU or CPU, it is then transcoded into a signal that can be sent out as a TCP IP series of packets over your Ethernet cable to your internet connection, because of course you're not streaming using Wi-Fi from the streaming PC, because friends don't let friends stream on Wi-Fi. That just wouldn't make any damn sense. So those are kind of the key things to understand. So typically what I do when I'm going to hook up a capture card is I start with the gaming device, because typically the gaming device is already connected to the television or my monitor. And so what I actually need to do normally is I need to take the display side of the HDMI cable and take it off of the display. So let's go ahead and connect this up to the switch dock as it would normally be connected. So normally I have the gaming device, the HDMI cable is plugged in. Normally this end of the cable is already connected to the television or the PC monitor. So this is now the output cable, video output cable coming off of the gaming device. I'm going to take that output cable and I am going to plug it in, right? So this capture card and everything that I'm telling you pretty much is standard for any capture card that you're going to buy. Other capture cards may have some additional ports, like for audio pass-through. And if you have one of those and you really need me to talk through those, just let me know. But this capture card has the stock interfaces that pretty much all of them do, which is it has an HDMI input, it has an HDMI output, and it has a USB interface for the data connection to your PC. So video comes out of the gaming device. We now need to send it into the capture card, right? Otherwise, how can we capture video? And so we're going to take this output cable from the gaming device and plug it into the input side of the capture card. The second thing I normally do, so now if I were to turn on the gaming device, I wouldn't get any picture on my television, right? Because the video is going to the capture box, but there's nothing sending that video onto the television. This input-output of HDMI cables is just a pass-through, so that you, like I said, send the video into the capture card. One of the things is it does is it then passes it on to the television. So that we're now going to take this HDMI cable and hook it to the output side of the box. These ports are labeled. I know with the lighting right now you probably can't see, but they're clearly labeled input and output side. So, and if you still mess it up, then if you go to turn the television on and there's no signal, one of the things to check is to make sure that you have the output cable coming from the gaming device going into the capture card, and the output cable from the capture card going to your television. So again, you're going to take the output side here, plug this HDMI cable in, and then you are going to take this and plug it into your TV or your display monitor. All right, so we're not going to hook that up because I don't have a secondary display here. But again, the output side of the capture card, the other end of that cable goes into your television or your PC monitor if you're going to be playing a PC game, right? So if I were hooking this up to go to a gaming PC, I would take, just to put it in different words, I would take the HDMI cable coming out of the backside of my GPU. I would plug it here into the input side. I would then take the output cable and run the output cable back to the PC monitor, right? So again, normally this cable would be coming off my gaming PC's GPU. It would be plugged into the monitor. I would lift it from the monitor, put it into the input side of the capture card, put the output side of the capture card back to the monitor. Okay. So now with the HDMI cables being hooked up, even if you turned the television on right now, your Xbox or PlayStation 4 or gaming PC, if you're going to a PC monitor, still wouldn't have any picture because right now this box has no power. It needs power. Now, depending, lots of capture cards act differently. Sometimes they act differently on different days of the week. So, but typically, if let's say that this streaming PC were in hibernate, and when I put my PCs in hibernate, I usually flip the power switch so that there's no vampire power leaching off the PC. But even if the PC is in standby, lots of times the streaming PC will provide power to the capture card. So even if you landed on the PC and the PC's in hibernate or standby, as long as it has a power switch that's in the on position, the capture card will get power, and you can still play your system even though your PC maybe isn't up and running at the time. So what I'm going to do now, and what I normally do now, is once I have the HDMI cables hooked up, then I plug the USB power connector cable into the capture device, and then I go to the back of my streaming PC and find a USB 3.0 port. If you have a USB 2.0 capture card for some reason, you can take it to a USB 2.0 port. Normally, even when I have owned USB 2.0 cards, I still just put it on a USB 3.0 port just for the additional overhead. Not entirely scientific, but it just makes me feel comfortable. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to plug it into the USB 3.0 port on the back of my streaming PC, and now the thing is hooked up. So if there are any questions about that after you watch the video, just let me know, and we can still talk through it. I think some new streamers who just haven't dealt with PCs at all, they're not PC enthusiasts, have still come to the point of wanting to build a streaming PC and have struggled a little bit through me explaining that verbally but not visually walking them through it. So now we have. So hopefully that is no longer an issue. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually plug this into my USB 3.0. dock. And I'm going to try to, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm going to try and get the switch to show up while we talk a little bit through OBS. And I'm going to bring OBS up now because OBS tends to not be really accommodating of you plugging in streaming components, streaming sources after it's already up and running. So generally it works better to get all your stuff connected to the PC, then bring up OBS. And we're going to see if we can get this to run. Let's see if I can share my screen out. Okay, so now we have the OBS screen. Hopefully you're familiar with the basic tenets of OBS. I'm going to talk through some of these things a bit quickly with the assumption that you have these, and if you don't, then again, swing back and ask me questions. We can go over it. Whatever your scene is for gameplay, you're going to want to go into that scene. So for instance, this is my gameplay display scene that I used last month, so April 2019 main scene. Over here, you see the list of sources. So, and you can see here, I have an animation group. We don't need to worry about that. I have my main overlay and placemat, which is a browser source. I have this webcam that I'm using right now, which we won't configure that because Hangouts has control of it right now. This is my game source. And then I have my audio source here. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the game source. So this is what you might want to have configured after you hook up your MiraBox. I'll go ahead and turn the Nintendo on and hope that it will So hopefully that shows you the camera's borked because because I switched it. So hopefully that shows you the basis of hooking up both the physical hookup as well as how to do the initial configuration in OBS. I hope that that's helpful. If you guys still have questions about that, just come back to the channel and let me know. That's going to do it for me. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I apologize about all the dead space. You got to see some troubleshooting. That is analogous to some of the things that you guys are going to have to do when you're setting up all this equipment. You know, for me, it was because I was setting up some goofy, one-off, crazy demo attempt that is not the norm in my configuration setup. So generally, you will walk through those problems one time and get them solved, and then hopefully won't have to revisit them again. So again, thanks so much for joining in. That's going to do it for me. I'm out of here.